Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Southeastern Sports Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Mitchell Brooks, and as always, I'm joined by Connor Kelly and David DeSplinter. Today's episode, we just have some recaps going on with some recent school sports, such as boys basketball, girls basketball, and the wrestling state championship. So first off, we're filming this on Wednesday, March 4th. So last night, the boys basketball team played
Carmel.
Yes. The boys basketball team played Carmel in the first round of sectionals and ended up losing 49-43. The whole game, it was pretty close, down by 4 at halftime. Had an 18-point fourth quarter, but it just wasn't enough to make a comeback. And, yeah, it was just tough loss for them. Kept looking like they might make a run, but they just couldn't cut it to more than 3 or 4 at a time. So
I feel like right when we got close, they pulled away every
They
time.
always hit that big shot there. You just could never tie it or take the lead.
Yeah, and the big thing is up until the end, really, it stayed within 5 points, and then it was just the end there that they ended
The
up.
free throw game kind of made the score look bigger than it was, but they were definitely in it the whole game, and they had nothing to be ashamed of. They battled hard, and Carmel just, give them the credit. They just made the last shot, and they just always seemed to have the answer.
Mm-hmm. And in the last 24 postseason matchups, the boys basketball team against Carmel is 3-21. So obviously some struggles coming against the Greyhounds.
I think that's more of like a benefit to Carmel. I feel like they always have them ready to play in the postseason. They're no matter who's on their roster, they always just have the right coaching. They're like the Michigan State of Indiana high school basketball, just always ready to play and always, no matter how maybe under-talented they are or, undersized, they're always just going to not make the mistake and make the other team beat them.
Mm-hmm. And
really, I feel like the only really that bright of a spot for HSC was Cole Hornbuckle.
Yeah, Cole he had some moments there where he really took off. He took over the game.
Too.
Yeah, he taped it up. I thought I didn't see what happened.
The second half.
Was he bleeding or did he he just wrap it to keep it in place?
There was like a foul and some kid on Carmel had like blood on his jersey or something. I didn't know if that was from that kid or Cole or from his hand.
Yeah, how many did he end up having? Is that?
I think it was like 13 or 11.
13?
Sounds about right.
Yeah, he had stops parts of the second half where he would just drive in and Carmel had no choice but to foul him all the time. And to his credit, he made his free throws. Mm-hmm. There was also a lot of time where Carmel just held the ball there for a minute towards the end of the quarter. Yeah. I feel like they should definitely install a shot clock into
especially
IHSAA
how the
basketball.
Fishers game was. The Fishers game before that.
Final score 23-21.
Yeah. It's not basketball at that point. I don't know what time do you guys think it should be though? Because college
definitely
is 30.
more than college. College used to be 35.
It's college is 30 right now.
It used to be 35 though until recently. The past few years, I think they changed it to 30.
I think it should be 35.
35 or 40 seconds, but just
it's just so you can't hold it and just dribble it.
Right, I've been at games with 3 minutes left in the half, and they're just trying to hold it to get the last shot, and that's just it's not enjoyable to watch.
Or maybe since maybe not necessarily just a shot clock, but you know how they have the 5-second count where if someone's guarding, you can't hold it for 5 seconds. Maybe make that throughout. So say one guy's just dribbling uncontested at the top of the key. Maybe he has 8 seconds before someone else has to touch it, or if they feel like they're intentionally not making a move to score, pass, or do anything, that the ref calls it dead and gives the ball back to the other team, or just some rule like that.
Yeah, I also feel like it kind of hurts the players because, if you think about it, I know that it's probably some of their last games, but they're probably scouts at this game. If they see a game ending 23-21, and if you're the scouts there watching that guy and he has 4 points, right, it's not going to make him look good.
And that does not translate at all to the next level.
Yeah. I think part of what it is too is it just teams that may feel like they're under athletic or under talented, they just try to hold it and just shorten the game as much as possible to bring it down to whichever team hits a couple shots. Yeah, exactly. So say one team has 2 5-star recruits that are going to play college basketball, the other team doesn't have any, then they're just going to hold it and maybe make it so that the other team can't just destroy them. A little bit which I guess kind of levels the playing field in some aspects, but that's also, it kind of hurts the game because the better team's not winning. The team that's, winning is just holding the ball. Because I saw one in Twitter, it was some 6-5 at the end of the quarter in Ohio because one of the teams just literally held the ball for 4 minutes or something like that.
I think I've seen 2 across the country, some places without shot clocks, because some states do have shot clocks.
Yeah, it's state by state.
I've seen videos of some schools like working together and just like going on strike almost, and like not playing a game, just to protest the fact that like if
There's
they
no
wanted
shot.
to,
Yeah.
they could just waste the whole game. So I forget where it was, but I have seen videos like that.
Yeah, and
before.
you look at the game when HSE played Carmel during the season. HSE won that 62-61, which a little bit higher scoring than what the game was last night, which was 49-43.
Yeah, and really up until the end, because the score of the fourth quarter ended up being, I think, 19-18 Carmel.
That's I mean, it's the fourth quarter is obviously gonna
yeah,
have the
but
most
like
score. Yeah,
up until then,
second quarter was 9-5.
yeah, like
Yeah.
up until the second half, really, the score was barely half of what it was.
Yeah,
like,
I want to say I was there. I want to say that Carmel like held it for like a
Yeah, they
minute and a
did.
half at the end of the half.
And like
if
at that
I'm not
point,
mistaken.
it's not even fun for the players.
Yeah. Does AAU have a shot clock? Do you guys know?
I'm not sure.
Probably not. I'd assume.
Well, because if there's AAU has a shot clock, then everybody on high school usually
Yeah, but I'd
plays
assume
AAU.
they had like the same
Yeah.
rules as
Exactly.
high school.
So they'd already be used to it. But I guess if they don't, then.
Yeah.
So who does Carmel have? Fishers now, or
Carmel played
Noblesville.
Noblesville.
Yeah.
Did they have
I
a bye?
believe.
I take
Yeah,
it.
Noblesville,
and Westfield.
and Westfield. Yeah.
Westfield had a bye.
So the winner of
Westfield
Fishers and
plays
Westfield.
Zionsville.
Or sorry, yeah, Zionsville, because Fishers lost.
So Carmel's probably the best team left. Then I take it.
Well, yeah, it was, HSE was actually the favorite for this game. Well, I
For the
guess
whole
depending on
sectional,
who
I
you
believe.
ask,
Yeah.
because Carmel might always be a favorite, but Indiana or HSE was going into the tournament ranked 6th overall in Indiana,
And on
5th
that
in the
huge
class.
win streak too.
Yeah,
Coming off the win against what was it, North Central? Lawrence North.
Lawrence
My
North,
bad.
yes.
Was Lawrence North in the region? Like, would they have had to play Lawrence North in regionals? Then I take it because they're probably in the same regional as, like, same section.
I'd assume so. I don't
know how
the
it
full
works.
I'm
regionals,
pulling up
so.
the bracket here.
Because I was just saying if Carmel doesn't have to play Lawrence North until like maybe the state championship or semi-state, they would be probably looked at as one of the favorites to go all the way to state then. Because also I feel like the IHSAA definitely needs to change their I feel like they should definitely get rid of the sectional format and seed it by region,
Yeah,
so
'cause I don't
everyone
think
makes
it's-
regionals and then it's just one through however many teams there are.
I don't think it's fair because if you look at it, HSC probably should have
Because
gotten
there's
a bye.
because
definitely
that,
should have
and
gotten a bye in the
if you guys
sectionals.
remember back when HSC had like Gary and Zach and Carmel had like McRoberts, and they were clearly the two best teams, or even when they played North Central and stuff, like 1, 2, and 3 were all in the same sectional bracket. So it was really just kind of, it's really unfair to, I mean, obviously nothing's going to be a perfect situation, but what everyone would perceive as the two best teams in the state playing themselves in sectionals kind of hurts it for the other team. But,
Yeah, they can even do something like, I don't know how many teams there are, like in specifically 4A. But if they wanted to, like a March Madness bracket where they just
that's what I'm saying. Just seed it 1 through however many teams.
play at
But I guess then you have like travel issues if some team from like all the way in South Bend has to come to Indianapolis on a Tuesday night, stuff like that, logistical stuff. But
and if they really wanted to do that, they could just have the games over the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
They could do one big tournament.
it would
Right, just
definitely
have, like,
be
a
a
big weekend
logistical
thing.
challenge. But but it would.
And it's just hard to schedule a lot of things.
but-
If you want a big venue like Banker's Life, then you got to,
Yeah,
it's just
exactly.
whole thing. Like it's been 2 weeks in a row now. You had a wrestling state championship on a Friday and a Saturday, and then the next week you
Girls
had
basketball.
girls basketball, and then
Yeah.
you have the Pacers obviously playing, and it's just a whole. It's hard to schedule it.
Yeah. I guess that's probably why they still have the sectional format, is just because they can get one gym and it's pretty easy to schedule, and they don't have to worry about using a big venue to like regionals or
They should
semi-state
definitely
or
at least
state.
seat the sectionals, though, I feel like.
Yeah,
I
but
feel
then it's still, the problem is still there that because like going back to the Gary Harris example, Carmel and HSC, two best teams, they're still going to have to meet in the sectional
Yeah, but
championship.
it at least gives them that rest of the
Yeah,
game.
that's true.
And it gives them the less of a chance of getting knocked out like HSE did.
Yep, I guess that's fair.
So that kind of concludes the boys basketball section. They finished their season 17-6. They were on a 14-game win streak up until they lost to Carmel last night. So
Great
it was
season.
great season for them, really.
Won the conference too, right?
I think they got a
share.
share.
Conference win share,
So
yeah.
definitely, even though they lost early, still a great season for them and nothing to be ashamed of.
Right. So next, like we were mentioning earlier, a couple weeks ago, wrestling had their state championship. HSE had 2 members wrestling, Reese Lolman, who was wrestling in the 145-pound weight class, and then Andrew Eyrick was wrestling at 285. Eyrick ended up finishing 2nd place. He was the state runner-up, and he'll be wrestling at IU next year. It was a great season for him, only lost 2 games. And Lowman, unfortunately, lost in the first round, but still a great season for him, too.
It's making it a state's big accomplishment.
Yeah, no matter how you finish in state, the point is you got there. It's not an easy thing to do at all. And last, girls basketball, they also competed in first round of sectionals a couple weeks ago. They ended up losing to Fishers 50-42, also an 8-point loss, similar to the boys. They also had a great season, finished 22-3. Just an unfortunate end to them. They just...
Fishers kind of got hot towards the end of that game.
Yeah, they just could not miss.
They lost some key pieces from last year, but still were able to put up a big season. It's hard to replace people that were your cornerstones for 4 years, but they did it, and they put together a great season. Then going back to wrestling, I think me and you, we both went, and it was the first time I'd ever been to a wrestling match, but that was a very cool experience.
Banker's Life
Banker almost
awesome
filled
there,
pretty much.
Well,
They blocked off the one section, but other than that, it was almost filled.
That first night we went, just the first couple rounds, it was pretty full still, but then I went the following night to see the championship, and I was with a group of people, and we walked up, and when we turned, we were in the upper section, and we turned, and there was, almost no seating. We were literally in the very back, on the very top. Yeah. There was no one sitting behind us.
Did it stay like that through at the beginning?
Up until about halfway through, we ended up moving down closer to the HSC section towards the end. But there for the first probably hour and a half to 2 hours, there was just no seating.
Yeah, it's really unique just because for a state championship football or basketball game, there's only 2 high schools there.
Right.
But when first night, there had to have been at least 15, 16 different sections of parents from different schools. So it was unlike anything I'd ever been to, and I'll definitely be going back. That was a very cool thing. I'd never been to a wrestling match before, but it was very interesting.
And if you think about each one of those schools, if each one of them have 2 or 3 wrestlers, each one of those 2 or 3 wrestlers probably wants to bring as many family members as they can. Exactly. So then it's another 6 or 7.
Yeah.
So then you have, just like we said, it's a packed house. And then they couldn't even have one section open because they had to extend it to have all 4 mats.
Yeah, because they closed off the behind the basket.
Right, if you had the baseline section, you could just walk right off. So they
exactly
didn't have that open. So.
And then I was pretty impressed though. There was a lot of schools that came from Evansville and
Evansville, Modern Day.
Yeah, they had a big section that was what it started at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock on a Friday night. So they probably had to take off work at least early to get down there. I was pretty impressed by the fan support that everyone received. That was
I thought it was cool how they did the introductions too. I saw all the lights were black and they had the spot when Andrew Ira came out. They had the spotlight on him. And they said all of his accomplishments. Yeah, throughout his high school career and how he's going to IU.
Right. Yeah, them both being seniors, it's a pretty cool send off for him. Wrestling your last. I don't know if Reese is wrestling in college, but for sure his last high school match took place in Banker's Life. So I think that's definitely something that's great accomplishment, obviously, and something you can kind of hang your career on and say, hey, I got to finish it off at Banker's Life.
Yeah. And for Eirik, now he gets to go follow in his brother's footsteps.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Go wrestle at IU.
His best days are ahead of him for wrestling. There's going to be great times at
great
IU for him.
At IU for him. And just pretty unfortunate for the basketball teams. Eirik did great. All teams
really did great this season. There's really no disappointment. They can all. Obviously, there's initial disappointment of you losing, but looking back, I think every team that we've covered today can say that they accomplished a lot and should be proud of what they did.
Yeah.
Did the girls basketball team win conference too, or did?
I'm not sure.
That's a good question.
Let's see. Oh, they didn't because Fishers was 7-0. HSC was 6-1. So
okay.
Yeah, because that was one of their only.
One of their few losses.
Beater, right?
Yeah. That was a great game. I was at that game too. That place was filled.
They only had 2 regular season losses.
Yeah. 2 of their 3 losses were against Fishers.
Yep.
Yeah, because
didn't they lose to the Kentucky? Was that 2 years ago or this year? They lost to the state championship team that played them from Kentucky. Might have been. I can't remember what the third loss was.
This season, their losses were Center Grove.
Oh, okay, never mind. It was Center
Grove. They lost to Center Grove 41-36.
At the very beginning
that was only their second game of the season.
Yeah, so.
And
they went on a huge win streak.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just had one loss to Fishers in the middle of the season, and it's just an unfortunate end. But like Connor was saying, you just got to look back and see. It was a great season overall for a lot of the sports teams this year. Really haven't had any major disappointments. So
Yeah, a lot of fans. All the events I've been to have been, a lot of Not all of them weren't sold out, obviously, but they were packed gyms. I mean, everyone seemed to be enjoying the teams and enjoyed going out and rooting them on. So that's always a positive thing.
And it's always a lot of fun when you have people that are big, like scouting, like high scouted players. Like
yeah,
Sydney's
exactly.
going on to play
Always makes it
Oregon.
more fun. But
Mabor.
Mabor's been scouted since he came here. So
yeah, exactly.
it's just a lot of fun to watch and look back, and obviously unfortunate that it ended like that. But
Hopefully the underclassmen can continue it next season.
yeah.
Yep.
We had some great underclassmen this year for basketball too, with Vinny and John McCall, Sam Jacobs, so hopefully they can do something next year.
Yep.
Well, that'll conclude this episode. We want to thank you guys for listening.